Extreme rain and flooding is soaking the Pacific Northwest.
Thanks to this developing atmospheric river event.
We're tracking multiple flood warnings and watches. That includes the Snoqualmie, Snoqualmie, and Snoqualmie rivers, all expected to reach flood stage later today.
After weeks of constant soaking rain, finally, a break in the weather. This is the moment I've been waiting for, and I'm not about to squander it. With no expectations or set agenda, I've packed up the truck and am headed east into the Cascade Mountains. My only real aim is to scout for accessible winter dispersed camping in an area I've never visited before. Finding such areas can be a real challenge this time of year, as most of our favorite mountain spots are inaccessible due to snow. Okay, well, I finally got off the paved roads and I've started to come across a couple of dispersed campsites, but it looks like the Forest Service has sort of blocked them off. It looks like you can camp here, but they've put kind of some big boulders on the areas that you would need to drive in. So while I can camp here, I don't think I can have the truck next to me, which is a bummer because look at this campsite. I mean, this is beautiful, right along the river, and it would definitely be a great place to camp. It's got a nice fire ring there, not too much junk here, so that's all good. But unless I can find a way in, I don't know that I can drive in here. So I think I'm going to keep looking and get a little bit further off the beaten path. This is also kind of on a main road here, you can see kind of behind me. So I think we can do a little bit better, but we've got a lot of daylight left, so we'll get back in the truck and do a little more exploration before we settle on a campsite. Anyway, see if we can find something better. All right, well, I've sort of been driving up and down this Forest Service road for the last hour or so. Went a couple miles that way, didn't really have any luck, and so turned around and came back, and I found another campsite here. I've kind of got two campsites to choose from, and honestly, I don't really know what I want to do because this campsite down here that I found is really great. Nice fire pit. The ground is not all muddy, which is a problem with the other one that I'll show you in a minute. And the river is just right down here. So really, it's a pretty nice campsite. The only reason, well, two reasons that I'm not super thrilled to camp here. The first one is that there are a lot of trees up above me that are, I don't know if they're dead, but I'm just a little bit worried about deadfall. Although it's not supposed to be windy, it's not supposed to rain, there's no snow on them, it's probably fine. But the other reason that I'm not a huge fan of this campsite, and the biggest one probably, is that I have to park up there. There's no way to drive into it. And I didn't bring the tent, I'm camping in the truck tonight. So that kind of means that I've got my campsite down here, but then to sleep and anything else, cook, meal prep, whatever I need to do by the truck, I'm going to be right up here by this road, which isn't really ideal. So anyway, let me drive down to the other campsite. It's just down here a little ways, and I'll show you. And then you see which one you'd camp at, and I got to figure out which one I'm going to camp at. So let's head back into the truck and head on to the other one and make a decision. And here is the other one, if you can really even call it a campsite. I mean, it's right on this road, a little pull off here. It's quite muddy. And I'll get out and show you the rest. This is option B, and this is what we're looking at. Well, first of all, it's right on the road. Right on the road, so I can pull off the road. Got just enough room to probably put my awning up over here in case it rains. Not too worried about being on the road because I've been out here for like an hour and a half and I've seen one vehicle go by. But the positive with this campsite is, I mean, look at the view. It's right on the river, right on the river. It almost looks like the bank is crumbling a little bit, and there is the remnants of a fire pit, but I might have to rebuild a fire pit if I'm going to use one. And beautiful, beautiful views, and the mountains are right there, so that's all good. But not only is it tiny, it's also pretty muddy. There's a little bit of water runoff coming through here right now, and yeah, it's not even really much of a campsite, to be honest. So which one am I going to choose? That's the question. I might regret this, but I think I'm going to choose this one. If I'm going to spend the next however many hours out here till sunset and wake up in the morning, I would love to wake up right next to this river. And I think I've got just enough room where I can, again, pull off, put the awning up, get the truck out of the way, set up a chair, and make a fire. And so I guess that's what we're going to do. Well, as you can see, just backed into a totally different spot. Right as I was about to turn around and take that second spot right by the river, I came across this, and I didn't realize that I could get the truck in here, but I could just get the truck in here. And it's actually really pretty in here. The river is right there, and we've got a couple fire pits over here. This is definitely much better, a little bit off the road, in some trees, and the river's right here. So I think this was a good choice, but backing in was a little bit of an adventure. But we're here, so I think it's time to start unpacking a little bit and relax. Well, as you could probably tell, there's almost no snow on these peaks here, which is just nuts considering we are in the middle of January and some of these peaks are pretty tall and they are just bare, but it has just been such an unseasonably warm winter here, and that really extends to today. I'm up here in the mountains, in the foothills, not too high, maybe 2,000 feet in elevation, and it's been in the 40s today. Although even with that said, there's some clouds rolling in and it has cooled off quite a bit. So I think we're probably dipping down into the 30s now. And so I'm gonna start prepping a fire because I don't wanna wait till the last minute to get that done. So I think that's next up, but man, it is beautiful out here. And it's just amazing how green everything is in the dead of winter here. I guess that's why they call Washington the Evergreen State. Who knew? So I mentioned earlier that I'm sleeping in the truck again on this trip. And one thing that I've noticed sleeping in the truck is that you really have to keep a couple of windows cracked in order to keep the condensation at bay. And previously I have just cracked a couple windows either in the front, back, and that has done an okay job. But I thought that it might be a good idea to get something a little bit more sealed. In the event that it rains or there's bugs or something like that, I have some sort of screen or some sort of system there. And so that's exactly what this is. This is from a company called Visual Auto Works. Not sponsored. I bought these, saw them online. I think they're about $100. They make them for a lot of different makes and models, so it's not like it's Land Cruiser specific. But the idea is that it just allows you to crack your windows, and then you have this in here. It's vented, so I mean, yes, rain can still get in, but it's a much better solution than what I had before. I literally just installed this one for the first time. I have not tried installing these before. Probably should have before I came on this trip, but I didn't. But the good news was it is really easy. And so just took a couple of seconds to kind of fit it in the window slot and then roll the window up, and there you go. So be curious to see how this works for me, if this will be a little bit of an upgrade over what I had before, but so far I like it, and it looks pretty cool too. So we'll give it a try tonight. Well, all right, we're down to probably our last 45 minutes or so of daylight. Got the fire going, which you can see behind me there, and now it's time to get dinner going. And for dinner tonight, I'm having chili cheese dogs, which is one of my favorite like solo camping easy meals. Bring some chili that I made at home, and I made this chili, which is my favorite. If you watch the channel, you may have seen this chili before. This is Guy Fieri's recipe, so you know it's going to be good. And it is some incredibly good chili. And then went to the store and grabbed some buns, but not just any buns. I had to grab the buns that are called Bun Busters because I'm 12 years old. So that's what's for dinner. All right, well, I just put the fire out. It's only about 6:30, but it is pitch black outside and it started raining. So I thought it was probably a good time to jump in the truck. And I've got my comfortable setup here, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the video where I do a walkthrough of my solo camp setup where I sleep in the truck, a lot of people had asked questions about that, and I will link that video in the description. So if you're wondering how I have this set up, you can check that video out as well. But I've got a little tray here to put my laptop, and so I'm just gonna hang out, watch some movies. I got some snacks and some drinks, and it's super comfortable in here. So I'm just gonna hang out, watch a movie or two, and then call it a night, and see you in the morning. I woke up this morning to what's got to be a pretty classic Pacific Northwest rainforest kind of morning. It is very damp. The humidity's got to be close to 100%. I'm just listening to the droplets of water fall off these trees. It's misty, we're in the clouds, and there's just an aura about it. You know, some people don't like it, and I'll admit that the dampness and wetness can get a little bit annoying at times, but there's just something about it. It is just special, and the smells, and yeah, what a great trip. You know, came out here, didn't have a plan really, didn't know what to expect, just thought it would be fun to get out and get away from the city now that we've got a little bit of a break in the rain after this atmospheric river that rolled through. Although of course it's still raining. I really didn't have much of a plan for this trip. I just wanted to come out and explore some areas that I have never been to before, and some areas that are a little bit more accessible in the winter, because most of the time when we get out, we're up in the mountains, and you know, up in the mountains at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet is pretty hard to do in the winter when it's all covered in snow. And so it's great to find spots like this that are, you know, riverside, that are down at 1,500 feet and are going to be generally pretty accessible in the winter. And did find a number of dispersed campsites in the area. So I would say mission accomplished, but more than anything, it just feels good to be back out in the forest and to be able to enjoy this peace and quiet and get away from the city. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider subscribing. I have a goal by the end of 2024 to reach 25,000 subscribers, and I know a lot of people who watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you like these videos, then do me a favor, hit subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, and it really does help the channel out quite a bit. But anyway, I think it's about time to pack up this morning and head back home. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.